Imagine this. The ground trembles under the weight of war elephants, their riders gripping their weapons, eyes locked on the enemy. Swords clash, arrows rain down like a deadly monsoon, and the fate of an empire hangs by a thread. This is India in 321 BCE, on the brink of a seismic shift, one that will give birth to the most powerful empire in its history, the Mauryan Empire. But how did it all happen? How did a young man, hunted, exiled, and underestimated, rise to become the first emperor of a unified India? And why did his grandson, a ruthless conqueror, transform into a man of peace? Stay with me, because this is a tale of ambition, betrayal, and power unlike any other. Before the Mauryan Empire, India was a land divided. The Nanda dynasty ruled with an iron fist, but their grip was slipping. Their king, Dana Nanda, was hated. His taxes were crushing, his rule corrupt. The people were desperate for change, and change was coming. Enter Chanakya, a brilliant but vengeful scholar. He had once been humiliated by Dana Nanda, and he swore revenge. But he wasn't a warrior. He needed a weapon, a leader, a man who could challenge an empire. And then he found him. A young prince in exile, full of fire and ambition. Now imagine this moment, a teacher and his student standing under the starlit sky, one with wisdom, the other with raw courage. "Do you want to be a king?" Chanakya asked. "No," Chandragupta replied. "I want to be an emperor." And so, the plan was set in motion. But defeating the Nandas? That was no simple feat. I mean, imagine trying to take down the biggest crime boss in your city, but instead of guns, you have swords, spies, and war elephants. Yeah, things were about to get intense. Chanakya wasn't just a philosopher, he was a strategist. He didn't believe in brute force alone. He gathered rebels, formed alliances with discontented soldiers, and used espionage to weaken the Nandas from within. He spread propaganda, turned key officials against the king, and drained the dynasty's resources before a single decisive battle was fought. Then, when the time was right, Chandragupta and his forces struck. The battle raged, but the Nanda army, already divided and demoralized, crumbled under the force of a determined enemy. In 321 BCE, the last Nanda king surrendered, and Chandragupta walked into Pataliputra, the heart of India's political power. But if you think this was the climax of our story, hold on. Chandragupta had only just begun. While he celebrated his victory in the west, a new threat loomed. The Greeks. Remember Alexander the Great? Yeah, his generals weren't done yet. One of them, Seleucus Nicator, wanted India. But Chandragupta? He wasn't about to let that happen. Imagine trying to invade someone's house, and instead of throwing you out, they take over your entire neighborhood. That's exactly what Chandragupta did. Seleucus, one of Alexander's top generals, had taken control of much of Persia and wanted to reclaim the territories in India that Alexander had once conquered. But what he didn't expect was a full-scale counterattack. Chandragupta didn't just defend his land, he marched westward, pushing Seleucus back and forcing him to negotiate. The result? A historic treaty. Seleucus surrendered vast territories, including parts of present-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. In return, he gave his daughter's hand in marriage to Chandragupta, sealing an alliance between the Mauryan and Greek worlds. This wasn't just a military victory, it was a diplomatic masterstroke. By 305 BCE, the Mauryan Empire stretched from Afghanistan to Bengal. It was massive, it was powerful, it was unprecedented. But with great power comes great responsibility, and sometimes great sacrifice. Chandragupta, now an emperor, turned his focus to governing. Roads were built, trade flourished, and his administration, designed by Chanakya, became one of the most efficient in ancient history. His empire was rich, not just in wealth, but in knowledge, culture, and innovation. The Arthashastra, a political treatise written by Chanakya, laid the foundation for governance, espionage, and military strategy for centuries to come. Chandragupta, once the fire of revolution, now faced a different battle, the battle within. Ruling an empire wasn't just about conquering land, it was about governing people. Laws, economy, administration, everything had to be perfect. But something changed. The fire in Chandragupta dimmed. He became restless, drawn toward something beyond power, spirituality. Under the guidance of Jain monks, he made a shocking decision. He abdicated the throne. Can you imagine? The greatest ruler India had seen. Walking away from it all? He renounced his wealth and power, embracing the life of an ascetic. According to legends, he fasted until death in the hills of Shravanabelagola, seeking enlightenment. His empire continued under his son Bindusara, but his legacy would be truly immortalized by his grandson, Ashoka the Great. But what about Ashoka? How did this empire, built through war, transform under a ruler who chose peace? That is a story for another time. If you want to hear how Ashoka turned from ruthless conqueror to a symbol of nonviolence, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon. More epic history coming soon.